Hey there, folks. It's the end of the weekend here. I'm Joe Crawford. Pretty much every day I go to CSSBattle.dev, do the daily target, and record myself doing it. And that's what I'm about to do right this minute. Oh, yeah. What do we got here? We got circles, and we have some adjoining pipes, let's say. What's the most interesting way to do this? I find myself wanting to create a single one of these. No. Oh, what's oh uh okay. So again, I never, well, not again. I really do my best not to look at these before, and I haven't looked at this. This is a really interesting shape, and it has me thinking about interesting ways to do it. I kind of want to make an element that is two circles on either end, uh, and then no, I don't know. I don't know. Okay. Let's just see if we can do the three across circles, and do that in a way that makes sense. All right. So we're gonna put the background here, plonk, and then use margins and height to put that into place. 3, 4. Okay. And then 1, 2, 3, 2, 22. Okay, so part of this is the edges, right? If I do a linear gradient, a background is a linear gradient, top down. So transparent, 30 pixels, and then this color, 0. Maybe it's 35. And then set it at 0, and then 0, and then give it a width of 1%, fine, and then a height of 50 pixels, maybe 60, 70, 65. So I created the bar, but look at the edges. The edges are a problem. But maybe that doesn't matter if I add a radial gradient. Or a border radius, that's what I meant. And say that's 1 inch, and 1 inch does it. That's a magic number that helps me out. Now I'm going to create the circles, radial gradient, 1Q, and then blue in the middle, 50 pixels, and then transparent. Now we're missing a comma, so we don't see anything. There we go. And then if I put it at 50%, 50%, and then give it a width of 33%, that gives me 3 circles, but that's not the right number. 100 pixels, 110, 120. There it is. So I've got that. Then what? Let's make another one. There it is. So now I'm going to move that into place. Move that up. Minus 10, 20. And then what I'd like to do is shrink it. So so P plus P. What happens if I set the background, no, that's not what I want. I want to set the margins to, so right now they're 40, 22, 20, 40, 22, minus 20. I'll leave them as that. And then I increase this number, 4, 5, 6. So then that kind of ruins it, right? What I kind of want to do is flip that, rotate it 90 degrees. But to do that, I need to change this background because the way I have it, this 50%, well, actually, I can do 0, 0. Nope, I can't. Aha. So then if I increase this 6, 7, 8, now I have what I want, but now I got to flip it. Oh, okay. So I have those numbers. I'm going to do rotate 90 degrees. Great. And now I'm going to increase this negative margin 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That's sort of what I mean. Okay. I'll admit that's a weird way to do it. And I think that means I don't need this second 0. Nope, I need it. I absolutely need it. I don't think I need this second 0. Yeah, I don't need that second 0 in the radial gradient. That's a weird way to do it, but I'll take it. Minify, unit replace, and submit. That's an aggressively weird way to do it. But I wanted to repeat the same background, but it requires a lot of manipulation of margins as that rotate. You've got to choose a kind of a strange background position, but it works. And then let's submit for a final score. And this is one that, well, I don't know what but in terms of, okay, I just want to reuse a circle and use only, so if I set a C and I say that's a radial gradient, and I've already forgotten what the radius is, 1Q, semicolon. So this is the CSS illustration way to do it. 30, 50? Okay. So then if I do that background, I can set it to 0 minus 10 pixels, 20, 30, 40, 50, 40, 50, 60. And we do that. Maybe this one's 60. Sure. And do another one. And this one is minus 100 pixels, minus 120, and minus 60. And then that makes this next one plus 120. All right, and that's 3 circles. Perfect. And then what I want is a weird conic gradient. So with probably a no repeat. So a conic, I can't do that. What I want is linear gradients. So the thing that I can reuse of the linear gradients is the color stops. So there's the color stops. I'm going to say var, linear gradient, var G, comma. So there's my there's my bar. I think it's too big. So I need to move that vertically. So I'm going to put it at 50% and then down 40 pixels, 40, 60, 75. And then I need a width, right? 50%, let's say, and no repeat. Sure, that works. And then I want another one, and this one is a 90-degree angle. And the numbers there are a little different. 180 pixels, 175. No, 185 pixels. And in that case, I don't need a Y value, but I do need to, in that case, I need 100% wide. Whoa, what happened there? That's interesting. I don't know why I'm seeing that. That's really interesting. There it is. Okay. So I'm going to rewatch the video. I'm going to ignore that for now. But that is so two linear, so a gradient for each shape. Circle, 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 circle. That's 4. And then line and line. That's 6. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then the background color. So each one of those is transparent. We could do, if we did those on the back, then we would still need a backup number because these don't repeat, and so they don't cover everything with the light color. So we would still need a backup color. But that's two CSS variables, and I feel like I mentioned the other day that this is power of CSS variables. So that's another way to do it: minify, unit replace, submit, and then we're done. That's two solid ways in what was that, 12 minutes or so. I like those. I'm sure you can think of more ways to do it. You could do this with flex elements, right? You could do this with, you could create a single shape that is transparent except for a circle and a bar. Great. And then, move it. There's also a more exotic technique where a radial gradient that is stretched super thin actually ends up making straight lines. So you could do these bars probably with the right math. Uh, so you wouldn't need linear gradients. That would be another way to do it. Did I get a score on this? Let's resubmit. I missed it. I was talking and talking and talking. Curious to know what was the score. So yeah, that's another score. My solution, best one was this guy. And that's the two elements with the one rotated. So that ends up being a pretty good score. It's weird, I'll admit it. It requires a rotate. That's odd. Nice reminder of the negative margins, the power of negative margins there, because that let me adjust once I'd rotated it without having to worry about, oh, am I in the right place when I start the rotate? Because rotates as part of a transform, you can be required to set like a transform origin, and that can skew things. But this is pretty standard. Just 90-degree rotate is the simplest. When you start doing different elements and you're translating them and moving them with margins, then they can show up in strange places. It's hard to keep track of how everything moves. Anyway, I've talked too much and probably explained it poorly, but plenty of stuff to explore in this one. Take care of yourself. Take care of each other. Go make a webpage. Hey, CSS is great. Bye. Where's my cursor? Oh, let's stop recording. There we go. I'm going to stop recording now.